This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, welcome to the Business Intelligence Training Program. In yesterday's session, we have seen what is Power BI, what is the need of Power BI. Per the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, how competitive is Power BI in the market, be it in any country, Gulf, US, UK, India, APAC regions? What are the various products that Power BI comprises of? Power BI Desktop, Power BI Pro, Power BI Premium for single user, Power BI Premium for capacity-based large-scale enterprises, and Power BI Cloud put together. So that's Power BI Pro, Power BI for Excel. So already I've shown you how to create a trial login on Power BI Pro, that is Power BI Cloud. Okay, we have also gone through the Microsoft's Power BI website, understood how the products are presented, what are the various solutions, sample solutions that are available. And then we have seen the licensing. Power BI Desktop is available free of cost. You can download and use it on Windows operating system. For Mac operating system, you will have to use the virtual machine VM method of installing Power BI Desktop on a remote system and then work on it. We also have Power BI Pro, trial login of which you have already created. Okay. So here's the trial login. It's absolutely blank. So we'll be creating reports using Power BI Desktop and we will publish it onto Power BI Pro and we will see all the functionalities of Power BI Pro. Once we complete Power BI Desktop data modeling and visualization with DAX expression completely. Once the practical session of Power BI Desktop gets completed, then we will move on to Power BI Cloud. Today, the target is to introduce Power BI Desktop to you all, and we will start working on the data modeling part of it. What are the different ways in which data can be modeled in Power BI? And then we will see how visualizations can be created, standard visualizations and custom visualizations. As a part of data modeling, you will also get introduced to Power Query. Let me close this, reopen Power BI. So once you download and install Power BI Desktop on your systems, this is what you would see. I've already installed Power BI Desktop on my system. I'm opening it again so that I can show you the login screen. We have some latecomers. Okay, give it a minute, let it open. Okay, so this is the starting screen of Power BI. On the screen, okay, So even before we go ahead with this, do you have any questions from yesterday's session or any of the previous sessions? Priyanka, feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, I'll ask.
Others, those who have been regular participants in this training program, do you have any questions pertaining to the previous sessions? Okay. So the very first, thank you, Amrita. The very first product that you will be learning as a part of Power BI training is Power BI Desktop. So you've got a strong fundamental knowledge of what is Power BI, correct? Why you need Power BI, how Power BI is different from be it Tableau, Sisense, ClickSense, Amazon QuickSight, which is analytical tool of Amazon, Google's Looker. So I've told you and also given you various links pertaining to the other business intelligence products. Why is Power BI very popular? Because it is available free of cost. Only when you decide to use Power BI Cloud, you will pay. Otherwise, Power BI Desktop, Power BI Excel based tools are all free to use. Also, Power BI has an examination from Microsoft that's called Power BI DA, Microsoft DA 100. So those who are willing to get certified in Tableau, you can take up the examination offered by Tableau. That's called Tableau certification. Just give me a minute. Okay. And now I would say Microsoft exam DA 100, right? So you can take a look at what this examination is all about. So this is analyzing data with Microsoft BI. So that's DA 100 certification examination. So once you, if you wish to get certified in Power BI, you will have to take up this examination. My BI data analyst or DA. DA stands for data analyst 100. Okay, PL 300, or it is called DA 100. This is the main examination that can help you prove your skill sets is being retired on and is being replaced by PL 300. So DA 100 exam is being retired. It's already retired 2 months ago, and it is being replaced by PL 300. Is effectively the same exam, just rebranded and covers all the skill set. So now the examination, previously it was called DA 100, but now it's named PL 300. So this is the examination or the certification exam for Power BI. Okay, same way you also have Tableau Desktop, Tableau certification as such. So you could check what this certification is all about. So you have Tableau Desktop Specialist Certification, Certified Data Analyst, Certified Associate, Associate Consultant. Okay. There are different certifications that are available. Tableau certification. It's under resources, learn Tableau, Tableau certification. So if you're interested in having a certificate, I'm Tableau certified. Same way you can also get Tableau certified or Power BI certification from Microsoft. Similarly, you have certification for SQL Server as well, from Microsoft. You can browse for it, and if you're interested, you can take it up. As soon as you open Power BI, there are three parts. One is the left-hand side, where you can connect to data. This is a shortcut to connect to data. Next is the files that you have recently accessed. A Power BI file, desktop file, has a file extension PBIX. Power BI X is for packaged. Here you do not have a difference between live and extract connections. In Tableau, you have two different types of connections. One is live, another is extract. But here you do not have any such differentiations. It is a direct connection of data, create visuals, and the data sits within the Power BI report. A Power BI desktop file is called a report. Okay, it's a Power BI report consisting of multiple pages. In Tableau, it is called a Tableau workbook consisting of multiple worksheets. Same as in Excel. But here you must refer a Power BI file as a report, and each of the tabs within the report that utilizes the data model within the Power BI packaged file are referred to as pages. So the recent, say around at least 5 to 10, whatever you have worked on, the Power BI files will get displayed here. It will have the file extension PBIX. Okay. The center part, if you want to open any other PBIX file that is stored in your desktop or in your documents, C drive, D drive, wherever, you can click on open other reports and you can point to the PBIX file. So PBIX is the main file extension of Power BI. Here in the center part, you have access to various videos that can help you go through the basics of Power BI. You can also take a look at these videos. Each and every, most of the features, button clicks, imports, exports, everything will be taught to you as a part of this training program. If you want to view all the videos, click on view all videos. It will open the web page that comprises of all the learning path videos, not just the basic ones, even the advanced ones will be visible here. Okay. You can also have this link handy if you wish to go through additional learning videos of Power BI. You can take a look at this page. Next, on the right hand side, every month there will be some or the other update, be it in Tableau or in Power BI. If you want to know, if you're closely watching of how the product is evolving, what are the changes that are made to the Power BI product in this month, you can click on what's new and you can take a look at that. Next is visit the Power BI forum to ask questions or interact with other users in the Power BI community. Same as in Tableau, here you have a forum or a community where you can join and you can interact with the users. Power BI blog, keep up to date with the latest. You have a Power BI blog wherein you have contributors. They will add Power BI details on a regular basis. If you want to see the latest updates about Power BI, you can also log into the blog and check. Here is a shortcut for most of the videos that you will also find here in view all videos link. Right, so there's a shortcut. You can also click on these and you can view various videos that Microsoft offers. So once you attend this training program, before you start working on the project of a subject which you have chosen, any project title of your choice, please also go through these videos so that it becomes a practice. Yesterday I told you viewing has more power than listening, right? As much as you view, again and again go through these class videos and also take a look at these training videos. It will help you get good hands-on with how different kinds of data gets imported into Power BI, how a data model gets created, and also how visualizations are developed. Any questions? So if you remove the tick mark, show the start screen on startup, the screen wouldn't come up at all. So only when there is a tick mark here, the screen shows up. Supposing you want the screen, but you've closed it, you can again click on File, Get Started. Automatically, the screen would again come up. It has all these shortcuts. This is a shortcut screen. So this can help you easily navigate through your Power BI application. Any questions so far? Okay. Now, slowly we will start understanding the data part of Power BI. How you can import data from various data sources. I've already told you data lake comprises of raw data. Raw data can be of any file format. It can be an Excel file, CSV file, tab separated file, PDF file, statistical data output from SAS, SPSS, R program. Different kinds of files are there. The main menu in the Power BI desktop application has File. When you click on File, New is for creating a new report. Control N is a shortcut. Supposing I click Control N, another instance of Power BI opens on my system. I've shown this in Tableau as well. So you can have multiple instances of Power BI desktop open on your system at a time. Okay. And how many ever instance you open, the same login will be there. Next. Open report. Open report is mainly used to open a report of the file extension PBIX on your system. A report that has PBIX as the file extension is nothing but your Power BI packaged file. Save is used to save a report. Let me click on save and save this report. Just like your Excel file, by default, you have two different file extensions. One is PBIX, which is the Power BI packaged file. Another is PBIT, which is a template. If you think the Power BI file that you create has to be repeatedly used by many other users, you can choose Power BI template file, that is PBIT. Generally, we create files and we publish it onto Power BI Cloud. So let us retain the file extension of Power BI file PBIX. Give a name to this file. Let us name it with today's date. Power BI training. Click on save. Just like your Excel file. Next is save as, the file which you have already saved with the name. So do you see this recent reports? It shows your recent report. If you want to browse for some other report, you can click on browse report, or you can also click on open report. Again, it comes to the same screen. Save as gives you an option to save the file with a different name. When you do a save as, you can change this name and click on save. Okay. Next is get data. It is same as this get data. We will see that in detail. Import contents from an existing file. Export contents to a new file. Let those two be them. Options and settings. Data source settings. You have, if there is any permissions that you have to check, probably you can check here. Power BI data source, PBIDS. Okay. Manage settings for data source. Okay, once we connect to a data source, we will get back to this setting. I will show you how it works. Under options, file options, you have some standard selections that are already made. I don't suggest any major changes to these. Power Query editor, this is all fine, absolutely fine. Direct query, if you're using SAP HANA, you can use this. R scripts, if you want to set R home directory, you can do it. You will have R Studio and R data installed on your system. You know that, right? So R programming, you'll have to install your R data, the R program, and then R Studio for the user interface. Same way in Python, you have Python, main Python library that you connect to. So it's on my system, I have for Python 3.7. So you can check for the latest version. And also, if there are any IDEs, one is the interpreter. This is the interpreter, Python 3 point something, whatever is the latest version, you can try 3.7, 3.8 something. And Python IDE, you have PyCharm, Jupyter. There are many IDEs, Anaconda, many IDEs are there. IDE stands for what? What is the full form of IDE? Can someone tell me? What does IDE stand for?
Integrated Development Environment.
Correct. So IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Visual Studio is an IDE. PyCharm is an IDE. R Studio is an IDE. So these are integrated development environment wherein you have GUI based development features available. You can easily use various inbuilt tools and solutions or packages in Python, R, etc. You have packages. Same thing for Java, you use Eclipse, right? So every programming language will have a specific IDE, which is very easy and convenient to use. C programming, the traditional way of running it is using C, C++, is using Borland, Turbo C or C++. But the easiest way of doing it is on Visual Studio 2022 using C compiler and specific preprocessor directives. So Python interpreter as well as the IDE is mentioned here. Security aspects of it. So here the basic features are already selected. This is for your graph part of it, use map visuals. Okay, you can select these if you need it. Privacy is already selected. So wherever you want a change to be made, you can make appropriate selections. So these all can remain standard. You don't have to make any major changes to these. Okay, data load, what has to happen? Regional privacy, query reduction. Okay, that's it. Click on OK. Now, all the required options and settings have been done. Data source is pending. We'll see that. About, when you click on About, it shows you which version of Power BI Desktop do I have on my system. I'm using Power BI Desktop version. It's a 64-bit version 2.105. etc. It belongs to the version release of May 2022, last month, very recent. And my IDs. There is nothing to be very secretive here. It is all a standard one because it's free of cost. It doesn't make a difference of me sharing my screen and showing you these details. So when you install Power BI Desktop on your system, you'll have a similar view. Click on Close. So that's about the file. Sign out is for signing out from this user's account. You can sign into a different account. So when I click on View Account, let me see where does it navigate to. It goes to my Power BI Cloud. Anything to do with the account is directly related to Power BI Cloud. Yeah, do you have a question? Okay. So again, this has taken to view account, the same information here. So here I have an option to make some specific selections, which is pertaining to the Power BI Cloud. Let it remain as is. We will get back to that. We will revisit Power BI Cloud as we start publishing the workbooks. Okay. Now, after the file menu, you have home menu item. There's the entire menu bar on which you have the home item. Okay. Let me open Excel. There, let me show you how Power BI would look like. So I've logged into Excel. Here in File, Options, Add-ins. By default, when you install Excel, Power BI COM add-ins. COM add-ins means they are components, DLLs. Those are not simple ones. So these are DLLs. If you see here, when you install Excel, automatically this DLL also got installed, right? So this is for Microsoft Power Pivot, Microsoft Power View, Microsoft Power Map. You also have a VSTO. If you understand what is the meaning of Visual Studio Tools for Office, for that you must know what is VBA. So at this stage you don't need it. That's into data analytics, right? Wherein you can write VBA program on any of the Office applications. And you have something called VSTO, Visual Studio Tools for Office, wherein you can create components for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, Outlook, etc. Now what we have to think much is about the Microsoft Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map. right? The Power Pivot that you create in Excel and save it as an Excel file, you can use that in Tableau. There is an option in Tableau wherein you can directly connect to Power Pivot. Let me show that to you. I've already shown it to you in the past. Just give it a minute. Okay. So by the time Tableau opens, by selecting COM add-ins and click on Go, you will see the COM add-ins. All of these will be available by default if you have installed Excel 2010 onwards, not prior to that. Okay, Excel 2010, 2013, 2016, 2019. All of these versions will have most of the COM add-ins displayed. By default, it would have got installed. If it is not selected, you can just tick these, select the check boxes. That's the actual word to use. Select these or get these ticked and click on OK. Only three: Microsoft Power Pivot, Microsoft Power View, and Microsoft Power Map. Power Query is there within Power Pivot itself. So once you have it installed, you will see separate tabs. So this is the Power View tab. You have Power View option here wherein you can create visualization. So Power BI desktop comprises of data model and visualization together, whereas in Excel it is differentiated into two different components or DLLs. One is Power Pivot DLL, another is Power View DLL. Okay, so this is for Power View. It's called reporting DLL. Power Pivot is your power pivoting or data modeling DLL. You have Power Map, nothing very specific, but it's good to use. But these two are very important because it helps create data model and advanced visualization from within Excel. This is an overview of how you can have inbuilt Power BI features of Excel activated, and how to use it we will see in our next week's session. So Power BI in Excel will be the last session next Saturday. Now we will finish Power BI desktop, then Power BI cloud by next Friday, and the last session will be on Power BI Excel based Power BI. So here in Tableau, if you see, there is a direct connection to Power Pivots. Where do you see this? Here, Microsoft Power Pivot. Right, so Power Pivots are created using Excel. Power Pivots are nothing but data models in Excel. You can create huge data models even in Excel. That should also work fine. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Same way you have Snowflake. You can do not get confused. This is not Snowflake schema. This is a connection to Snowflake software. There is a software called Snowflake. Many of them get confused because there is something called Power Pivot. So they think Snowflake is nothing but Snowflake schema which I've learned as a part of dimensional modeling. It is not that. Okay. Now we will stick to Power BI desktop. You have seen the products. You know how Power BI desktop looks like, how Power BI cloud looks like, and you know how Power BI Excel will be based. Other than these, you also have an add-in for Excel that Microsoft offers. So let me call it as Power BI Excel add-in. Okay, so here this is mainly used for download. But this is version specific. This is used for Power BI Publisher for Excel download. Right, so you can try viewing this as a part of the download, but this is only for Excel 2016. The other new version, I'm not sure. You can also download a Microsoft Power Query, but according to me, it's already there within Power Pivot. I don't use much of other add-ins. Whatever is given is sufficient. And I don't intend to push data from Excel to Power BI. Rather, I would do it from Power BI Desktop and create a PBI DS Power BI data source. Let us now start working on the data part of it. Let us start with a simple data import. But before that, I may have to publish the data sets and the reports. So let me create a workspace. I will name the workspace Lakshmi workspace. Okay. And click on save. Okay. So I have a new workspace other than my workspace. That is a standard one. And this is whatever is a selection of workspace that you do here, that's what will get reflected here as well. You see the change, right? Next. Okay. Sorry about that. Now let us work on the data part of it. Simultaneously, as we proceed with the visualizations, we will work on insert, modeling, view, different features that are available on these menu items as well. Okay. Now, what are the different data sources that you can connect to? We have already seen this in yesterday's session. Just to give you a brush up of what we have already seen. Power BI can be connected to files, flat file system. You can connect it to databases directly. Power Platform, which is again the Power BI based platform. You will see what is Power BI data flow, Dataverse, all of these as a part of Power BI Cloud. But for now, Power BI dataset is what we prominently use. Azure, we have seen this in detail yesterday. On Azure, you can create sample database and you can start connecting to that. Okay. Now to begin with, let us connect to, either you can connect it from here, you can connect it from here or from here. It's all the same. Okay, so the easiest and a full view is get data. These are shortcuts and this shows the recent source to which you have connected. Transform data is a Power Query part of it. Let's hold to it for now. Get data from another source. When you click on this, just see what happens. So these are standard shortcuts to connect to Excel SQL Server, which is very commonly used. You can also paste data into a blank table, rows and columns. You can copy and paste your data or try a sample data set that Power BI offers. Okay. Yeah, so it again opens get data. So let me select the Excel workbook and click on connect. Now select the sample Excel file. It could be XLS or XLSX file extension, both are accepted. Excel also belongs to Microsoft, correct? Wait for Power BI to connect to the Excel file. The speed of your Power BI processing depends on your processor. If you're using Core i5, it will be pretty much faster. i7 is good. Higher than that, it's very good. It's going to be very quick. I'm using Core i5 64-bit. So these are the sheets or tabs in the Excel file. So let me select orders sheet. So here the data is now loaded. You have an option to load the data or transform data. You can also cancel the data import. This is the view of the data. You can also refresh the data. And here on the left-hand side, you have the tables or the sheets in the Excel file that gets displayed. Wait for the preview to reload. You can click on load. Data is getting imported, 9,995 rows of data from the orders worksheet within the Excel workbook. wait for the data to load into the the Power BI file. Here, once the data gets loaded, you will see that all the columns in that specific sheet will get displayed here as a separate table. Each of the sheet in Excel gets converted into a table and it gets displayed. So these are columns in your Excel sheet. Dimension columns do not have alphabets. These are dimensions. Sigma. This symbol is called sigma, S-I-G-M-A. Sigma is used for measures. Calendar symbol is used for date. Okay, calendar symbol is used for date. Standard dimensions containing alphabets or alphanumeric, that is alphabets plus numeric data, wouldn't have any symbols as a prefix. This is how the data would look like. So these additional tabs onto the right side are collapsible and expandable, both. Even here, you can expand and collapse the table content. Now, when you click on the table, you have something called table tools. So these are different options that you can use on your table. We will do that a little later. Now, for you to understand the basic is very, very important. Okay. Just give me a minute. Thanks, Arun. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you can expand or collapse table, columns, and these tabs. So this is for filter. Here filter is a different tab altogether. It is not a part of your marks card object that is available in Tableau. It is slightly different from that. Any questions so far?
And the workspace that we created, does it remain private or it can be shared among the team?
Good question. You can share the reports that you publish to the workspace. Supposing I'm on this workspace, so you can also set the access of this workspace. So at present, I'm the only person. I'm there as an admin. Can I have your email address, please?
Hello,
Yeah, can I have your email address?
it's F Kazi.
Can you put it on chat?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm pasting this and okay. Because I'm using a domain specific address, right? So I have to use something from my own domain. So let me take my own domain at analyticspro.store. Okay. Duplicate. Already it is there. What else? No. Analytics Pro store. Okay. So when you're in a particular group that's within your organization, and when you have the IDs synced, it will let you add same domain IDs like COO at learnpowerbi.com, CTO at learnpowerbi.com, ABC at learnpowerbi.com. So all the same domain email IDs can be included. That's how you set access. So which we will see in detail when we work on Power BI Cloud. Okay.
So that relates that we can share this workspace among the same domain group itself, right?
Yeah, correct. Now you have the data imported. Let's move on to data model. So here in the data model, you have only one table, and so that is getting displayed here. This is how you can move through. This is one of the models. To this model, I can also include, I've imported this data from Excel. I can now import or create a data model from SQL. Then we will do a combination of Excel and SQL together. First, I'll show you how to import the data from SQL or any other databases. So once it is opened, now let me close this. I will click on get data. I generally have this habit of doing. Here under database, let me select SQL Server database. Click on connect. You can also have MySQL installed on your system. Please go through the Google steps to do that. Now let me connect to the SQL Server. Click on OK. You can either use the word localhost or dot. You already know this. Click on database. That's it. Windows authentication. Click on connect. Enable to connect. Back. Give the name of the database. Click on OK. Perfect. So it now shows you views and tables are separately shown, not like Tableau. Okay. So these are views and these are tables. So here let me select. There are different ways in which you can select the table. I select a table. I can choose other tables by myself, select views, or I can click on select related tables. So what this would do is select all the related tables. If you think some of the tables are not selected, even after clicking on this, you can manually choose those. That's one way of doing the selection. Here, if you want to see only selected items, you can choose this. After you have selected many items, you can do this. Otherwise, leave it on, enable data previews. Okay. So now if I'm not satisfied with this, I'm going to unpick all of these. Here, there's no task of dragging and dropping, creating joins. That is in Tableau. Here, the data modeling method is different. So let me first take orders table, order detail, products, shippers, suppliers, employees, customers, categories. Okay, these are all related tables. I very well know. All I have to do is click on load. Automatically, the data model will get created, which I can also edit. Okay, so here you can see all the tables. So you're on the report view. Now get back to the data model view. So here in the data model view, at the end of the page, there is an option called fit to page. Okay, so click on fit to page. Automatically, the data gets fit to page. Within one page, again you can click. If you want to zoom it slightly, you can use this zoom button. You can also check the percentage of zoom. You can also hold your control key and scroll your mouse. Slowly, when you hold the control key and scroll your mouse, you'll be able to get the data model bigger or smaller as per your need. Okay. You can adjust it to view, get a complete view of it. You can move it, you can drag it. This is how the data model would look like. This is very much similar to the ER diagram which I taught you while you were studying SQL, while you were learning SQL programming. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Now we will see the data model in detail. So what is this data model all about? This data model contains various tables. Each of the table defined in this data model is some or the other way it is related. Okay, there is a full view. In some or the other way it is related. Between order and order details, you have order ID. Between order and order details table, you have order ID as the common key. Whenever there is a common key between the main table and the other table, the relationship is automatically instantiated or it is created by Power BI between the main table where it is a primary key and the other table where it is a foreign key. How one order ID can have many order details. Perfect. One star. Star means many. Crowfoot, star, it's all the same. Double click on this and you will be able to see what is the relationship. So if the key is selected, if the column is selected, it will be in gray. Otherwise, it will be in white. This is a hint for you to understand which are the columns that are selected. You can also change it. So when you select a different column, that will turn to gray, which is not correct. So order ID is the correct one. That's why it gave me an error. So what is the relationship? There is a cardinality relationship. Cardinality is also the same. Many to one, one to one, one to many, many to many. Now we are seeing order details to orders. Okay, so many orders are linked to one, many order details are linked to one order. which is correct. Make this relationship active. If you remove this, the relationship doesn't get activated. Cross filter, single. That's it. So automatically this is created. You don't have to do any change. If at all you want to make some change, you double click on it and you do it. You can also click on manage relationships. In one go, it shows you between the tables how the relationship is established. Okay. Between the tables, how the relationship is established. Orders and order details, you have order ID as the common key. Between products and order details, product ID is the common key. Customers and orders, customer ID is the common key. Employees and orders, employee ID. Shippers and orders, shipper ID. Here it is shipper ID and here it is ship via. So these two columns have the same kind of data. That's why Power BI, while creating the data model, it connected these two fields to fields or columns. It all means the same. Field or column has the same meaning. Categories, category ID and products category ID is the same. Supplier ID and product supplier ID is the same. If you still want further relationships or mapping to be done, click on auto detect. Automatically it will detect if there has to be a new relationship. It says no new relationship. It's already created enough relationships that Power BI could automatically find. You can also click on each one of these and click on edit. It will show you how it is mapped, how it is related to each of the field in two different tables. New is a blank relationship wherein you can choose the tables, okay, and see if there is something. Category ID is there, so you can take category. There is already a relationship, so if there is something new you can try. Already Power BI has done the best in finding out all the relationships. If you want to delete any relationship between two tables, you can use delete. So there are two ways. I'm here in the data model part of Power BI. Turn this. You have different tables that you have imported. You can also import views from the server. Now, you have the data model created. A data model means multiple tables represented with relationships or cardinality. What are the different kinds of relationship? 1:1, 1:many. Many is to one, many is to many. 4 different kinds of relationships. So in Power BI, many is represented using asterisk, not a crowfoot. Generally, crowfoot is only on written diagrams. On systems, many gets represented with a star or asterisk. Asterisk is a correct computer terminology that you have to use. Asterisk is found on your keyboard pad on number 8, numeral 8. It's also there on your number pad above number 9. Okay, so you can use asterisk in computer. You all know asterisk is used for multiplication as well, when you have to multiply 2 or more numbers. Okay. Next is when you have the data. Okay, so within each of these tables, when you click on these three dots here, okay, so here this field or table is visible in report view. Select to hide it. So if you do this, the table will get hidden. You can unhide the table. Now it's visible in the data model. So there can be tables which are hanging by default, and you may want to hide those tables. So let me now add another table. So maybe I forgot to include one more table. So let me click on SQL Server. Data model is much easier creating here. If you worked on MS Access, this is a case you would have done a similar activity there as well. Supposing I take territories and I click on load, apply changes, wait for the data to load, don't disturb it, let it load. Okay, now you'll have to see where is this. Here, you see this is a hanging table, which is of no big use to me at present. So you can also move like this, okay? I'm using a control and mouse scroll to increase the size or decrease the size of the data model. Your data model will grow very big. At present, I've shown you from Excel and from SQL Server. I will use 3 to 4 data sources together and I'll show you how big your data model can grow up to. So this is a hanging table. Nowhere I have region ID, territory ID. Where do I have region ID or a territory ID here? Nowhere I have these, correct? No, I don't have these. So this can be there in the data model, but put it on hidden. So this is there, but it's hidden. Select to make it visible. Next, these three dots gives you different options. You can refresh the data by right clicking here in the blank space and say refresh data. Automatically it connects to the data server and it refreshes all the tables. Supposing for only one table, just do a refresh data. It will refresh the data only for that table. Edit query. It goes to Power Query. So this is inbuilt feature. From your main database, the schema is DBO, that is a database object, and order is the name of the table. So this is what we call it as a natural query language, natural language query, NLQ. Right, so this is how you can edit, but here there's nothing much for me to edit, so I'll leave it. But when I write a custom query to extract the data, then I will show you how it can be done. Okay. Okay. This is used to manage relationships. So when you click on manage relationship, same thing comes up. Either you can do it from here or you can do it from here. It's all the same. Incremental refresh, when you have a lot of data that you have to import, then you will have to do an incremental refresh. Here you do not have any such instance. It happens when you have millions and millions of, let's say 5 million, 10 million rows of data that you have to import into Power BI. It's doable, but incremental. You import it once, and then to refresh, you have to incrementally refresh, say 500,000 rows at a time, something like that. Select columns, delete from the model. So you can also delete a table from the model. For example, if I decide I don't need this, I can click on delete from model. You can also hide in report view. So here, when I click on this, it is hide, or you can also use this hide. Make as a date table. Supposing you know it is a table that you have imported from the database and you want to convert that into a date table, you can very well do that. Unhide all, collapse all, and expand all. So these are all shortcuts you can try. Under fields, you have each of the table listed. If it is not visible, you will see this. If it is visible, when you click on it, it will show you whether it is visible or hidden. Okay. Bringing back to a smaller view is like this. Any questions? Now, back
Well, the
to,
end user will have an access to this data model, or only the report developer will have the access.
it depends on what you want to publish to your end user. If you're giving this complete PBIX file, surely they will have access to the data model. If you're publishing it onto the cloud and you restrict the access, they will see only what they have to see on the report. You can restrict the data set access on the cloud. So
Fair,
they won't be able to see the data set, but they will see what you have done on the reports.
fair enough, ma'am. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? So now one of my model is ready. So let me go to the data view. Here I should be able to see the data here. When you click on it, it gives you a horizontal and a vertical or a table view. Okay. Any questions? Next is the report view. So if you see here, it is there in the data model. Table is called Teratable. It's hidden. So in the report view, you will not see that. In the data view, you will see. Data model view, you will see. But report view, you will not see. When you hover your mouse on each one of these, you will be able to see what it means. Report, data, model. Model means data model. Okay. Here in the report view, I will have all the visible tables that appears in the list. From this list, I can choose the table and I can create the visual. Let the report part be as is. Now let us concentrate on the data model. So this is the data model that I've created from the SQL server. I can now publish this. So if you see, my cloud, Power BI cloud is empty. Nothing is there. Let me publish this. Click on publish. Before publishing, you should have logged in. Okay, only then publish will get enabled. Otherwise it will be disabled. Microsoft Power BI Desktop. Do you want to save the changes? Yes, first save it. Whatever you have done, save it. Give it a name. SQL data model. Okay. Click on save. The file extension will be PBIX, no other options. Okay. Because you have a data model, so you can save it as PBIX. Click on save. Did you see this? It is asking you a destination. Destination is nothing but the workspace on your Power BI cloud where you want to store this report. Okay. Let me take Lakshmi workspace. Click on select. It is publishing the data model. Publishing is now completed. Click on got it. Go back to your data model, cloud, Power BI cloud, and refresh to view the data set. Here it's not a data model. Here it's called a data set. Perfect. Okay. So whenever you publish a PBIX file from Power BI desktop, you should have both of these handy. Power BI desktop, Power BI cloud. Also have Excel, Power BI, and the cloud on if you want to publish some work data set from Excel to Power BI cloud. That is also possible. But for now, I have published PBIX file to Power BI cloud. So here it sits in two different objects. One is report that contains only visualization, data set that contains the data model. The report will be blank because we have not created any report. Data set will of course have the data model information that you have created. So data set plus data flows. So when you click on the data set, this is what you will see. It shows you the source from where you have created. Okay. Here also you can create a report and you can share the data set that you have created. Back to Lakshmi's workspace, I have the data set that I have created. Under Data Hub, it will show me only data related files. So whatever is the data that is published, so this is the data. It's a data set. It's called a data set. Okay. You can download this file, manage the permissions, and view lineage. Lineage, we will see this in detail. It's nothing but the flow. Just to give you an idea, it is the flow. Don't get confused. We will do lineage and data flow later. But for now, this is the data source. You can also download this file. It will get downloaded as a PBIX file. Okay. Now I can click on file. Do you remember this part? I'm just waiting to redo. Yeah. Do you see this? Now it's showing me the data source. I've connected it to Northwind. I have an option to change the source, edit permission, clear the permissions, etc. But export PBI DS. There is a new file extension that's called PBI DS. I already have this saved once, so let me this is the old one. This is the new one. So let me click on save. Okay, go do something. Yeah. Close. PBI DS is Power BI data source. Here also you have a data source setting. Now, when I open a brand new Power BI file, here is a file. Close it. I have so many instances of Power BI file open now. So here I have an option for recent sources. Oh, just a minute. Yeah, it's active now. So I'm clicking on the recent sources. It's a brand new file. I've not connected to any data source. I'm clicking on recent sources. I have the aim of connecting it to, here also you have a shortcut for recent sources. Here you see, I want to connect it to one of the data sources. Okay, it is not letting me do. No problem. Let me go to file. Browse reports. So let me see. No. Okay, I want to open the PBIDS file, but it's not showing me in this list. 1 minute. Okay. Here is PBIDS. Let me double click this. It is opening by default in Power BI. Because it is a PBI DS file extension, which is a Power BI data source. It is a data source that contains data set or a connection to some source. You see this? So what happens when you have PBI DS connected? The main file, the main source, database source, or the server to which you have established a connection comes up. That is the main difference. If when you open a PBIX, if the connection is already established, automatically it will open, including the table. But here, just a connection to the database server is established, and it gives you the list of tables. From there on, you have to build the data model. Only the data source connection is available, but the data model part, selecting the tables, related tables, relationship, that is not made available. Any questions? The same thing you do with TDS and TDSX in Tableau. There it is Tableau data source TDS, TDSX. Here it is PBI DS. TDS, here it is PBI DS. It's all the same. That's why I told you once you learn Tableau, most of the concepts will match with Power BI. Tableau and Power BI have similar. Tableau and Power BI have similar file naming conventions. But other products like ClickSense, Sisense, Amazon, QuickSight, those are all different. It's not the same. So each and every BI or a data visualization product is different. Okay, so now you know how to create PBIDS. Did you understand, or should I show it again? It's a unique method of saving your data source connection, which you have established. Again and again, it will not ask you for the credentials. If you have stored it, it gets stored. Do you want me to show it again, or have you understood the concept? Okay. We will then close this file. We don't need this PBIDS file anymore. So you have understood what it is, correct? Now, this file is already stored and we have published it on the Power BI cloud, and this is the data set corresponding to that. And you also know how to store PBIDS, which is just the data source. Back to the Excel work. If I want to include tables from Excel, I've already done. If I want to now import other tables from SQL Server, I can do that. How do I do that? Here there is no relevance between the data, but still for your understanding, I'm going to show it. Okay. Right. So here I can use order details and products. So let me have these two additional tables. I will click on load. What is transfer data before loading? That we will do slowly. First, understand how to load the data. Then you will learn, you can learn how to transform or make changes to the data before loading. Okay. So this orders table, I have imported it from Excel, and this I have imported it from SQL Server. So these are two distinct entities. That's why it's not connected. Let us now manage the relationship. Though there is no automatically one such relationship is created. So the other relationship is not created. That's because the order ID in this, you will face this many a times. You might connect data from different servers. Okay, the IDs may be different, the column names may be different. Here it is order space ID, here it is order ID without a space. So what you can do is manage relationships, create a new relationship from the orders table, and from the orders detail table, order ID and this order ID. There won't be any match. I'm just giving you an example. If there is a perfect match, surely it will work. But for now, there is no such match. So what I'm going to do is, let me open SQL Server. You will do all the circus with data models. Only when you get your data model correct, your visuals will be perfect. Visuals is very easy. You've learned it in Tableau. Doing it on Power BI is no big deal. Data is most important. You must know how to get the data correctly from various sources and create bigger data models. Power BI has a capacity to hold bigger data models due to its in-memory engine. You may get data from Azure, AWS, Excel, CSV, SQL Server, MySQL, n number of databases. You have to put all the data together to form the data model. Only then you will be able to successfully create the report. But before creating a report, you should first write down how the report should look like in a paper. And you must know how your data model should look like, what your data model should contain. If you have to create a report for summary of sales, what all details it should have: sales representatives, customers whom you sold, order details, product details, region where it was sold, shippers details, suppliers details, everything, category of products. So only when you know all the details correctly, you will be able to fetch OLTP data. What is this called? Excel, SQL Server, MySQL, Azure data from AWS. What am I talking about? This is OLTP or data lake. You're fetching data from different data sources. Okay, so you're fetching data from various data sources. So once you fetch data from various data sources, you will be able to put the data together in the data model and design accordingly. Okay. Now let me open the tables. Okay. So let me take some sample data here, put it on an Excel file, then I will show you the correct relationship. So let me select top 3000, start from orders. Okay. I'm going to get this from Northwind. Done. My query is correct. If it's correct, I won't get any red underline. That means my query is correct. So now there are 3008. I have 830 rows displayed. So what is the total count we have to see? Select star from orders. Let us see what is the result we get. How many rows? There are only 830 rows, so meaningless to have this. So let me say 500. Done. Now let me take this, copy with headers, open Excel. So here, let me open this. Paste it. So let me have this as a data set saved. I will call this orders table data. Okay. Click on save. Okay. This orders table is not correct. Let me remove this. So my Excel data source is now gone. Let me now add another Excel workbook into this. and then I will create the relationship. So imagine I got some order details from somewhere, another set from a database. So this is how I can put it together. So I have this load. Wait until it completes the loading. Good. Now put it correctly. Put data from different sources together to form one. Okay, so now manage relationships. New. Sheet 1. I need to change the name of this. Why it's not giving me an option? Yep, rename. So I will rename this as orders. Okay. So automatically it will reflect you. That's it. So you have to rename it here. You have the rename option here. Manage relationship. Now it's going to be very easy. Auto detect. If it does, well and good. Found one. Yeah, it did it all by itself. Okay, now you can close it. So only for those order IDs, 500 order IDs, I will have order details and products. So this is a customized or drilled data model. I have only for the required number of order IDs. The same thing. Let me do it in a different way. Let me take the query. I'm taking it from the practice SQL query file, which was shared with you all. Let me run this query. I have so much of an output, 2155 rows. Okay. So if I say distinct, okay, it's not comparable because there are repetitions. So this is the output of my query. Now I need this to be a part of my list here. So let me remove this. I don't need this. Instead of this, I'm going to use the query. So I taught you how to connect Excel and SQL tables together. Now I'm connecting to a blank query. Server Northwind is the name of the database, and import means import into here. Important. Import into the Power BI. Direct query is directly querying the data. This is a query. Click on OK. This is going to be the output. If you want to transform, you can. We'll do it a little later. Click on load. Look at the different ways I'm using to create a data model. Most of the times you won't even do anything with transformation. Your data will be neat and clean. Only headache will be to get it from different sources and arrange it together. That'll be the biggest task. So now this is a query. In some place you have to write a query. In some place you can directly have the table. You can directly have the data from Excel or CSV file. All combinations are possible. So you must know all the combinations. In your DA 100 exam, combinations will also be there. Query 1, orders. That's it. Let me name this as orders. This is not a table, but this is my query. This is the output of my query. Very good. Manage relationships. Auto detect. Done. Okay. What did it detect? It detected a product ID, so you can change that. Order ID, and see, because product ID is unique, that's why it's taking product ID. Order details, order ID, and here also order ID. Done. But there are repetitions, that's why it's showing like this. Order ID is getting repeated, that's the meaning. So this is how you can connect query tables, query Excel sheets, query CSV sheets, query to any other n number of databases, query to cubes, query to Power Pivots, any kind of a combination. Okay. There are some more ways in which we create the data model. Let us take a break and we will be back to see those. And we will start with one or two simple visualizations today. Next session, we will only concentrate on visualization. Today, we will complete the data part of it. Any questions? Okay, let's go on a break. Take 15 minutes break and be back. I'm going on mute. Now, we will see other types of data that you can bring in. So let me delete these. I've clicked on get data. Just give it a minute. Right. So in this way, you can connect to data of various sources. I can also build a data model externally, and I can connect that data model here. So we will see how we can achieve that. So this is a simple Excel file. So let me first save this. Let me call this Excel data model of Northwind. Save. Once I'm done with this, let me go to Power Pivot and create a data model, not a normal pivot. It's a data model that I'm going to create. Click on Manage. You will learn more of these concepts when we work on Power Pivots by next week. But for now, let me show you how to create a data model and how you can connect to that using Power BI as well as Tableau, both. Tableau, you directly have an option to connect to the Power Pivot. Give it a minute. It's opening the data model. Okay, so now the data model is open. I can get data from wherever I want. So the easiest is a local database that I'm connected to. Okay, let us select a list of details. Finish. Perfect. It's done. Everything should be success, green color, tick marks. Click on. It's importing. Just wait. Okay, if you see here, you have multiple tabs on which the data has been imported. Okay, it is showing a minimum. I can scroll to see the complete list. Now, when I go to the diagram view, all this is happening inside Excel, not in Power BI desktop. Okay, so do you see this? The model is generated here, same model, same as in Power BI. You see the model here. This is done. Now, you can click on Design, Manage Relationships. It's all related. Let's close it. Perfectly fine. There's nothing much I want to do here. File, save. Okay. Now, when I click on manage again, it should show me the same data model, which means the data model or the data is inside the Excel file now. Wait for it to open. Okay, this is correct. So I can close this, save the Excel file, close this. Now I don't have a pivot, but I have the model that sits inside the Excel file ready, which is nothing but a Power Pivot data model that I've already created. So let us now see how to use that. Let me browse this file. Okay, so this is the Northwind Excel data model. Any questions, anyone? Right? Nothing is there. It is blank. Cancel. Go back to the Excel file. Okay. Enable content. The data model will still be inside. There won't be any change. Manage. Yeah. You see this? Now you can create pivot table. Click on OK. It shows you the entire list. Let me pull out a few details. I need the ship freight. No, not this. Ship name. Okay, so this is the shipper's name and when it will be shipped. Shipper's date. I can put it in a particular format. Okay. I'm having month, year, date. Okay. I don't need all this. I'll take this out. All I need is the year. So I have it now. And then I need the product name that is getting shipped. I can put this in a particular format. Okay, it is expanded. There's a lot of product name. So take this off and let us use only the category name first to begin with. Yeah, this is much better. And then from the order details, I also need quantity. Quantity is a number field. Okay. So this is one such Power Pivot that I've created. It's not a normal pivot. Save. Once you save this, try to use this information. Click on open. Okay. So you have the data wherever it is blank, it is filled with null. So you have to customize your Excel sheet such that only the data enters. So do you see how to create a data model in Excel and have the corresponding details here? I don't need any subtotals. Okay. So I've removed the subtotals. In a tabular format. I don't need even this. Oh, sorry. I don't need this. Okay, now it is the sequential data that I have. I can save this. Wherever there is blank, it will display as null. If you don't want that to happen, you have to take this data and then feed it. So this is how you can create a data model in Excel, and then you can import the data model inside Power BI, and you can also do it on Excel. So this is another way of how you can import the data. Now, Power BI dataset. There is a dataset that is there in the server. A developer who works on the data modeling part has already done. Your job is only to create the visualization. So how will you do that? Click on Power BI dataset, and then it displays for whatever is the login you have logged in as, you've given the username and password as, it shows you the relevant data sets. So select the data set, click on create. Okay, so whatever is there in the data set here from the Power BI cloud, it gets imported into your Power BI desktop file. Understood? Vice versa. From here, you published it there, and from there, now you're publishing it here. Now, if you have to transform this data, click on transform data. There's nothing much you have to do here. So data is already imported. Let's now do an example of how you can work on transforming the data. I'll open an instance, new instance of Power BI. Okay. Now we will get a simple Excel data and we will try to transform the data. So here, let me choose the Excel file. A standard Excel file is what I'm selecting. Just wait for it to open. It should get loaded actually. It has a lot of data. So let us wait for it to partially load. And then before completely loading that into the Power BI file, we will have to transform the data. So far you have seen how to load the data. Now I'm going to also transform this data. So this is the data that I'm taking. Let me transform. Instead of clicking on load data, I'm clicking on transform data. Okay. The window that you see here is called Power Query Editor. Previously, Power Query Editor was available as a separate tab in Excel. It had a lot of features that you could do, which you manually perform on Excel. Okay, so let us see how to do this. Excel, Power Query, add-in, download. Okay, so let me see. Download Microsoft Power Query for Excel from the official site. Here you have an option that can help you download. The add-in for is no longer being updated. Please upgrade to a newer Excel version because Power Query is a part of the newer version of Excel. That's just for your information. We are not going to deep dive into that. This is inside Power BI desktop. You have the Power Query. Whenever you click on transform data, transform load, means transform the data, automatically this comes up. So in the screen, you have a lot of functionalities that you can do, which you manually do on any CSV file or TSV or an Excel file, text file, etc. You can do that using the Power Query Editor. Okay, supposing I take this, and if I want to transform this to lowercase, uppercase, you want to trim means remove the spaces on both the sides. Clean, get the length of it, you can do it. You want to split the column by delimiter. You can take it as a space delimiter. Supposing I click on delimiter, it will ask me which delimiter it is. So I select space. What happens? This gets divided into two columns and I get standard and class as two different columns. Same way you can split columns from here also. You can do a group by. Use first row as header. Yeah, it's already selected. Okay. You want to merge queries, append queries, you can do. We don't use much of all this. Split column is very common. Choose columns, you can directly choose the columns using your mouse. Remove columns, you want to delete the columns, you can use that. If you want to delete, you can also use this. You want to create a duplicate of a column, you can very well do that. Okay. Next is refresh preview. If you want to refresh the data, you can very well do it from here. Data source settings. You can also access data source settings from here, and you can even Excel file can be exported as a PBI DS, as a PBI data source. So next time when you open that PBI DS, it will directly connect to that Excel file. Any data source connection that you create, you can save it as PBI DS. Okay. Any questions? So these are most common ones that we use. From here also you can create a new source. I can also add a blank query from here, but I'll have to type the query. So I don't prefer doing a blank query. Rather, I connect to the data source, be it any kind of a data source, and then I run the query to fetch the data. That's the method I generally follow. Slowly grasp it, have it memorized. Don't forget this, okay? So if I take this query or any query, click on OK. Now this gets added. So you see here, it got added as a query. So all this is happening from Power Query Editor, not from the data model. You can do it in Power Query Editor as well, similar to how you do it on the data model. This is the orders query. This is orders table. This is orders query. You want to do some transformation, transpose, reverse rows, count rows. You can do a lot of things here. Fill. Generally, you do this in Excel or CSV, right? Fill up, fill down, move to the right, left, etc. You want to move this column to the right or left, move to the right. That's all. All this you can easily do in Excel. But if you wish to do it at a button click, you want to use this feature, you're most welcome to use Power Query features. Okay. Next is split the column, which I've already taught you how you can do it. Split by number of characters, by position. You can try each one of these. It's very easy. If you want to format it, you can do it. Extract the first characters first, these many characters, last these many characters. So all of those can be done. From here, you can also run your R script or your Python script. Right? So when you have R installed on your system, you could do it. Run a Python script. You can also run a Python script from here to get the data. That is also doable. Date and time. So if you want, this is order date. Now supposing I go to year and I say year, only year will be there. All kind of data transformation gone. God. Just got to be careful. You do something, that's it. You can't undo. You'll have to reload the data. Okay, it's okay. There's one other way you can close without saving. So that's one other way. If you have done something wrong, that's how you can come out of it. Time. This is for the time. This is the date part of it. Standard, addition, multiplication, etc. You want to do some statistics, basic statistics like sum, minimum, maximum, median, average, standard deviation. Only basic details are available. You want to add a new column, you can do that from here. Duplicate a column. You can also fetch the query dependency to see what your query is dependent on. Okay. So however you have fetched the data, it's just represented in the form of a query. If you want to do, so you also have an advanced editor. So in the advanced editor, it will show you the query. Here, if you want to edit the table names, etc., you can do it. Let in, this is how the language that is used for the query that you create, right? So that's the language. Don't get too in depth. Most of the times you don't have to worry much about transforming the data, because when the data enters the database, if you're directly working on database created by your database developer, maintained by your administrator, data will be clean. Only thing you have to know is from where to fetch the data, how to read the ER diagram, how to connect different data sources. That's all you will do as a BI analyst, and you will get a proper data model in place as a Power Pivot or as a proper data model within the Power BI desktop. Once your data model, now I don't want to save this, so let me just close it. I'm not saving it. Okay. Discard changes. I don't want anything to be added here. Let me go to the data model. It's blank. There's no data in this data model. Close it. I don't need this file as well. I have a data model file which I've created previously. It's ready. It's a nice file. I've named it as SQL Server Data Model, which we began to learn with, at the beginning of the session today. Now, I have the data ready with me. Now, let me create simple visualization. So far, we have seen data. You can also try Azure sample data from the SQL, Azure SQL. So if I can show you a sample of that, maybe next session, I will have it ready and I will try connecting Azure through Power BI and Tableau. Both the ways I will show it to you. Okay, it's same as connecting to SQL Server. No big difference. Only thing, Azure credentials have to be included. That's all. Now let me take ship name. See, there are two different ways in which you can do. You select a visual and then you select the data. That is one way of doing. Another way is you select the data, you put a tick mark, whatever you want of whatever you want, and then select the visual. So when you put a tick mark, automatically by default, you will get it as a table. By default, it will only be a table. So for now, let me take the category name. Good. And then let me take the quantity ordered in each of the category. This is the unit price. Okay. So here I do not have sales. So I'm creating a new measure. Click on new measure. Quantity multiplied by unit price gives me sales. So I'm going to create a new number field, and this number field is called, wait for it, it will open the okay, so this is nothing but quantity. You have to just type okay, so this will be much more easier. Select a calculation. So the calculation that I'm going to do is multiplication. Quantity is the base value. Unit price is the value to multiply with. Click on OK. It's a new measure or a new column altogether. So I will now change the name of this column to sales. Okay. Click here to include this. That's all. So this is a table that I've created. And now I'm able to represent it as in the form of a table. Same thing. I can click outside. See, supposing you're inside this and you select something, it will get added here. So click outside. Now select the dimension, select the measure and select the visual. Okay. Adding text to it, labels, coloring, etc. We will do it in the next week. But this is the easiest way. Once you have the data model ready, it is this easy to create the visualization. So next I will select shipper, supplier, company name. There are lots, so let me keep it minimal. Ship country seems to be okay. So move it, drag it and place it correctly. So here also you have all those tree maps, etc., etc. So you can use the visuals correctly. So these are standard visuals. Tree map. For quantity. Yep, this is correct. And then you can also put it here. Yeah, there's a lot more. You can also activate the labels. All those stuffs, lots of visualizations are there. Not just standards, there are custom visualizations. Next week, 2 sessions of Power BI will be about visualization, Power BI Cloud and Excel-based Power BI. Okay, we will come to an end with this basic understanding. You have almost finished the data part. Now, our target is the visualization and cloud. That is the main thing. Excel Power BI is easy. It's not tough. It's only data based. Visuals are also there, but Power BI visuals on desktop and Power BI cloud functionalities. So this will be the target for the next session, next week's 2 sessions that we will have. Any confusions? How are you liking Power BI compared to Tableau? Are you able to understand? Yeah, that's the reason we are having it after Tableau. If I would have taken this as a first subject, the ease of Tableau, you wouldn't have enjoyed it. That's why the fees is a little more for Tableau compared to Power BI. Any other questions for me? Once you practice, you will find this much more interesting and easier. First go, everything will be tough. Compared to Tableau, practice is needed more in Power BI. If you're practicing Tableau once, Power BI, you should do it twice, then you will get it. Most of the open source products or softwares, try to create a data model using Northwind and Pub's database in Power BI. Try to save it as a PBIX file, publish it to the cloud as a data set, and also import multiple data sources and try to save that as a PBI DS file on your system. So that will cover all your learnings as of today. Transform load, I've taught you Power Query. Most of that you can do it externally. If you want to use Power Query, you know it's very simple. Just by the name, you can practice that. Try to take some Excel data, try to use some of the add, move columns, split columns, change to uppercase, lowercase, all of that you can do it by yourself. It's very straightforward, same as your Excel work. Any further questions? Perfect. With this, we will come to an end to today's session, and the data part of Power BI is also complete. In the next session, we will talk more on the visualization part of it and the cloud part of it. You all have a good week ahead. Let's meet by next weekend. Please do make sure that you attend next weekend sessions, because that's going to be the last training sessions you're going to have with me, and then a project discussion followed by that. With that, we come to a closure of your training program. Yes, have a great weekend to all of you. Thank you so much for attending the sessions, and hope you have enjoyed the learning these 2 days over the weekend. Put it to use and make it more productive. Perfect. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.